Hi YouTube. From my week 6 update, I kind of got into about how head hunger is a big thing after gastric bypass, and well, even before. So I thought I would elaborate more in this video, kind of dedicated just to that topic, because I know a lot of us that are obese do have an overeating problem. I do have some friends that are a little overweight, who just honestly love food, but they don't turn to food for reasons other than that. So I guess this is feelings. I guess this is kind of like feelings and ideas that I personally have why I have head hunger, and also things I've heard from other people. So, some of the feelings that obese people have that make them want to overeat is stress, sadness, anxiety, or mad or frustrated, lonely, or feeling that life sucks, or that everything keeps going wrong. And then also isolating ourselves. Obese people, we kind of get into this big circle loop that we're like, oh, well, we're too big to, put ourselves out there in the world worrying about what other people think or what people say. And then we eat more, and then we get bigger, and it's just this constant circle. I know myself, I've experienced that. I know there are a lot of people out in the world that do not judge you solely on your outside, but there are a lot of people who do. And I think one of the hardest people, and not only the people that have obesity problems, but people that may have other problems that they worry about what other people are going to think of them, isolate themselves a lot because they don't want to get hurt, because the majority of the time people do stare or people do judge. And I know it sucks for people who do that, because the couple of people that could give us a chance might not be able to meet us. But I know myself, I've done that. And these are things and feelings that I'm still working on. Even being 6 weeks out of gastric bypass, I know I'm going to have to work on them for a long time, because, it's like any other disease, alcoholism or drug addiction or what have you. We spend so much of our life not living. And granted, there are many overweight people that do live their life and that don't worry about it, but I know there are a lot of obese people that do. But I personally feel like I've lost a good bit of my life worrying what other people think, and I wish I had just gotten out there. I think it would have given me more self-confidence. But I wouldn't change my life. I mean, we all go through things for certain reasons. Granted, you may not find out the reason then. You may not find out for 5 years, but eventually you do find out. And I have put myself out there in life. I just don't feel like I have put myself out there as much as I should have. We'll say that. So working on these feelings is a big thing, I think, because if you go into gastric bypass thinking that this is an end-all cure-all, that is not the case at all. You can still fail at this if you don't use the tool right. And I knew this from the beginning, because you hear of people gaining the weight back, and the reason they do is because they don't follow the program, and they don't get the extra help, maybe therapy or what have you, to be able to, help with their issues. And so you have to go into gastric bypass, realizing that, yes, this is a tool that helps me, but I need to work on why I eat. So I know I personally sat down and made a list of what are the feelings I have when I want to overeat. And I started, writing in a journal about, okay, I want to overeat now. Okay, let's think about what are the feelings I'm having at this moment? What is the situation at this moment that makes me want to overeat? And I think that has helped me in not overeating during this process, because there have been times where I have wanted to overeat, but knowing that my stomach is small and liable to get sick or hurt my new stomach, that helps me not, overeat. So, those are the couple of things I've done. I know some situations, from having like head hunger or emotional eating or whatever you want to call it, is I personally, when I've been sad and depressed and wanted to just overeat and kind of numb my feelings, I have, say if I was going to do something with my friends, I might cancel my plans, or I might come home early so that I could eat, because as most emotional eaters do, we eat alone. Now, not just like a normal meal, eat alone. I mean, when we overeat, we usually overeat by ourselves. Now, I know, say, you go to Golden Corral or some buffet place, yes, you may overeat in front of some people, but you wouldn't overeat in the amount that you would at home. And I know that's the case for most obese people. And it's really sad to say that you would miss hanging out with your friends to overeat, but that's where the isolation comes into place, because you're more concentrated on getting that numb feeling. And I know, for me personally, when I do eat, it's like a drug, because it numbs what you're feeling, and you feel it, but you don't really feel it. And it's definitely a bad thing to numb those feelings. Sometimes it's so hard to feel certain feelings, but if I could go back and start, 10 years ago or however long ago, and not numb my pain and just felt it, I would. Because, I think having an eating disorder is so much harder than alcohol or drugs, just because you can live without alcohol or drugs. You cannot live without food. You have to eat regardless. And so then if you're telling, someone who loves food, hey, you have to eat some food. Okay, if you're an overeater, any food you would want to overeat on. I mean, even if all you could eat was lettuce and tomato, if you have that habit of overeating, you could overeat on that. Granted, us overeaters, we definitely have trigger foods, or favorite foods that we love, but if you understand what overeating is, then you kind of understand that it is partly the types of food, but it's more the numbing feeling you get, the release, the endorphins, the just feeling better. And it's just like alcohol in the sense that you feel better, but then you feel guilty afterwards and mad at yourself, and why did you do that, and was it really worth it? And so I do think it's harder, because you have to have food to survive. But granted, that doesn't make it right or, acceptable to have overeating problems, but I know for me personally, I've been overweight my entire life, and it, it's not only become like a habit, um, of just, doing the same thing over and over for years, but it's just a way to be happy in a sense. And I want to be happy because of things that are happening in my life, not because of the food I'm going to eat that day or the next week. Or, you know, when you're an overeater, food constantly is on your mind. And I don't want to be like that anymore. So, really figuring out that that's why I suggest people going to therapy, because really figuring out what is triggering your overeating, what feelings you're having, what situations, uh, it really starts to help. Just a little bit of therapy I've gone to and kind of analyzing my feelings and thoughts has really helped me to take a step back and say, okay, let's think about this before we do it. And granted, I did that before the surgery, but I think since therapy, I've even more thought about it, because you have someone who's impartial and who can listen to you, or I mean not impartial, and can listen to you and just, help you. And I think that's the greatest thing. And sometimes you're afraid your friends aren't going to understand, and what if they think badly of you? But you don't have to worry about that with a therapist, because they're going to help you through it, and they're not going to judge you or think you're stupid or any of those things. So, but I think the great thing about gastric bypass surgery is it definitely gives you a heads up in not being over to eat, and also it gives you an incredible tool that you can use for the rest of your life. So I think the best thing to do for head hunger is definitely try to keep a journal. Like I said, write about your feelings, what you're having at that moment. Now, me, before, I've been like, oh, I'll write about it later. No, sit down, take the time, write about it. Even if you are not a big writer and you hate it, get a voice recorder. Just talk it out on your voice recorder, because just like a journal, you can go back and read it. Well, you can go back and listen to, okay, what was I feeling then? What was it? And especially you can take that back with you to a therapist, and it can help you. Another really big thing that's helped me is going to support groups. I started going to support groups even before surgery. And that's the great thing, because if you go to a bariatric support group, you have people that are waiting to have surgery, that have already had surgery, that have been out for 5 years, that have been out, and you get to know the ins and outs of surgeries, and you make friends who you can call, who can support you, who will be there for you, and that completely 100% understand what you're going through. Because I'm really sorry to say, but people that are of average size, that don't have some type of eating problem, don't understand what it's like. They can say all they want, oh, I understand it's hard, but they don't really know until they experience it themselves, just like in any situation. So being in a place where you can tell stories and you can tell people problems you have, and to just have them say, you know what, I understand, I've been there, this is what I did, is amazing. And it makes you feel like, okay, I'm not alone anymore. I'm not doing everything wrong. And I just think that that's just so amazing. So if you possibly can, ask your surgeon, um, ask the hospital if they haven't told you about support groups. Definitely go and look for them. Um, and rely on some friends, you know. Some people don't tell their friends that they're having gastric bypass surgery, but if your friends are your true friends, then they're not going to judge you. They're going to be there for you, they're going to support you, and sometimes just talking helps. Like, say if you feel like you're about to overeat, call your friend, talk to them, just anything to get your mind off of it. So, I guess the main point of this little vlog is just to say that head hunger is a big issue, but there are many things you can do um, to kind of help it. It's definitely a hard road. There's not one key answer for everyone. Everybody's different. Everybody eats for different reasons. Um, and you really just have to find out what your triggers are and what you can do to um, to help yourself. For somebody it might be listening to music. For someone else it might be going for a swim or something. So you really just have to find what you can do to help support yourself. And I think one of the hardest things for obese people is reaching out and trusting people around us to help support us, because there are people that will be there for us and that will help us, even if it's, hey, let's go to the mall and go for a walk, or something simple like that. So just keep trying your best and know that there's going to be turns here and there, but trying your best, you'll get to your end goal. And one of the other harder things is just being patient. Just like me, I only lost 3.6 pounds this week, and I'm like, wow, well, I could have probably done that without surgery, but I'm going to trust myself that if I keep on going, it will get better. So I hope this helps someone out there, and thanks for watching.